Hello and welcome to another video. I would love to ask you to like and subscribe if you feel like I've earned it, and I'm going to respect your valuable time and get right into the theory. As many of you know, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I've made about 4 videos in the series and there will be way more to come. For this theory, I want to look into our cute little boy, Yuji, and why I believe he is cursed. Let's go back to the beginning, when Yuji's in the hospital with his grandfather, when they have a conversation about how Yuji shouldn't end up like him, and his grandfather stated, "You're a strong kid, so help others, even if it's only the closest one to you. Just save the people you can. It's okay to lose your way, and don't worry about whether they'll thank you or not. When you die, you shall be surrounded by people. Don't end up like me." I believe these last words that Yuji's grandfather gave to him cursed him. Not in a negative way, but in a way to protect Yuji. We know that Yuji's grandfather is familiar with curses in some shape or form because he did confront Yuji's father, Jin Itadori, about his wife being the death of him if he doesn't give up on her. We are also shown that Yuji's mother is no other than Kenjaku, so I think it's safe to say that he has some understanding of what curses are or Jujutsu world as a whole. I think of it as similar to how Yuta cursed Rika so she wouldn't leave him alone. Maybe that, but not to that extent. Okay, so now that we have information about how Yuji was cursed, now I gotta think about what the curse is. I believe the curse is creating friends for Yuji, creating more people to be around him when he dies and allow him to grow in strength through these people. So I believe if there's an exact situation that isn't exactly the way the curse needs to plan out, it will alter the memories in order to create that bond of a friendship. Let me explain the application of this idea. First, we'll start with the encounter with Todo during the Goodwill event. To give a little background on Todo, I would say he's a simple-minded, independent person. He wants it his way and will threaten anyone that gets in his way. Right from the start of the event, Todo is just a wild beast that is beating Yuji, but our boy is going blow for blow with him. In the middle of the fight, Todo asks Yuji what his type of woman is, and Yuji gives an honest response that he likes tall women with big butts. My man has some taste. This makes Todo go into a trance-like state that seems like he's creating a narrative in his own head that Yuji and him have been best friends. Not just a connection based off Yuji's initial response, but a full slice of life backstory. At first glance, we can think of it as Todo being a brain-dead monkey because he's a simple-minded character, but we look more back into the theory and we see that it could be an application of Yuji's grandfather's curse. The curse I theorize states that he wants people to be around his bed when he dies. So I think the curse is trying to do just a few things here. Make Yuji have powerful friends that can make him grow stronger. Todo was able to teach Yuji how to use the Black Flash in such a short time, able to rival the great Nanami's Black Flash record. So at the end of this encounter, Yuji was able to make a best friend though, and also grow stronger, all because of this curse. If you still don't believe me, let's look at my final piece of evidence that helped prove my point. There's a point in the Shibuya arc where Yuji and Chozo are fighting. Before the fight, we know that Yuji killed the other two death painting, so Chozo is out here for revenge the person that killed his brothers. The fight is pretty close, but Chozo ends up getting the upper hand. When he knocks out Yuji, he still sees him breathing and goes to finish him off. It was at this moment that Chozo had the ability to end Yuji, and suddenly is overcome with a flood of memories that never happened. Very similar to the implanted memories that Todo had when Yuji responded with what his type of woman was. In this situation, Yuji was on the verge of death, so I believe the memory altering ability saved him because, under the curse's theory, it was when he would die, he would be surrounded by people. Yuji would be dying at this point, but he would be dying alone, so it goes against that curse theory, so the curse intervened during this fight and prevented him from dying alone. I know there's a few points that got me thinking in this theory that I was wrong, but let me show you my thought process a little bit. At this point, we know that Yuji is a death painting just like Chozo. So my first thought was they're connected because they're both death paintings and that's how the memories were altered. They're brothers after all. But to this I had to bring up the fight with the first two death painting. During that fight, there was no type of memory altercation at all. And to that point, I believe it's because Yuji was not in danger at all. I felt that him and Nobara had the whole fight fully under control, so there was no need to intervene at all. Another point I came up with was the theory that why did it only affect Chozo because he's a curse, but not Sukuna or Mahito? The two individuals were also threatened his life before. I believe that the curse only works on humans. Chozo is also half human, half cursed spirit, so it's safe to say that that's the reason why. Mahito and Sukuna are both cursed spirits, and I believe that it has no effect on them at all, even though they both have in many ways, shapes and forms, have threatened Yuji's life. I also want to clear up a few things. I don't think this is plot armor for Yuji to escape death or have some kind of gain that he normally wouldn't have. When writing this, all I can think about was the Dragon Ball Super manga when it was revealed that Bardock wished that all his sons would prosper. It isn't like that. I believe Yuji had to work really hard for what he got. I feel like this curse was somewhat of a pardoning gift from his grandfather that he left before passing. And to be completely honest, I feel like his grandfather has a bigger role to play in the landscape of Jujutsu Kaisen, with him barely even being in the story to begin with at this point. To wrap it up in a nice bow, to conclude my thoughts, I believe that Yuji has some form of curse that was granted by his grandfather. This curse allowing him to achieve his goal of a meaningful death while allowing him to have loved ones around him as he passes. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate if you would like and subscribe, only if you feel like I've earned it. Please let me know your thoughts on the topic below, and if you have any other theories, I would love to hear them as well. Please stay to the end of the video to hear a word from our sponsors.
This video is sponsored by Naruto vs. Ichigo. If you want to support the project, there will be a link to the Patreon below. There are many different levels of support, most of which give you access to Discord, behind-the-scenes exclusive content, and work-in-progress updates. Thank you for anything that you can contribute.